Okay, welcome back to the Minimalist Home Podcast. I'm super duper excited to have you guys here, and I'm happy to have Lindsay back co-hosting with me. If you didn't watch the last or listen to the last episode, we were chatting. Lindsay and I have been nurses together for years, and we both live in the same city, although we are not together. I've got something itchy nose. There we go. Okay. So Lindsay is joining me because it is so fun to talk to her, and she always has such great insights. Lindsay's also a relationship coach. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments, the chat below, or send it to us on Instagram if you're listening. So we are here on YouTube. Hello, Lindsay.
Hello, it is so good to be back. That was so fun last time, so I'm excited to chat with you again.
I just love our chats. So tell me, Lindsay, today we are going to talk about New Year's resolutions. Tell me your thoughts on New Year's resolutions.
Love it. Such a big question.
You do
my
love
thoughts are that I have probably never kept one. Of all the resolutions that I've made over the years, I literally have probably never kept a resolution. And then because of that, and hearing the word intention more in life over the last few years, I have changed it to setting intentions versus making resolutions, which has been so helpful. So those are my initial thoughts on that.
Oh my gosh. I love how immediately you're like, yeah, I've never kept one. And I think that is so common for a lot of us. And I would say I sort of haven't, I used to smoke years ago. And this always surprises a lot of people.
I even know, and I'm surprised every time I hear it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
And I remember being like, I want to quit smoking. I'm going to quit smoking. And it just, like it was never a part of a resolution. It's just crazy. And there's a couple of reasons why people fail at resolutions. And we're going to get into it. So I was listening to this awesome guy. He's got some great books. His name's John Acuff. And one of his great books he has is called Finish. I love it. I ordered his Finish calendar. I told you about it. I'm so excited for it to come. It's coming all the way from I think Georgia. So I don't know when it's coming because we are way up in Canada. Like we're literally across the continent from where this calendar is coming from. I'm excited though, because I like to plan. However, I was really debating between dry erase and paper, and you had even asked me that same thing, is it dry erase or paper? And I said, okay, I'm going to get paper because I don't like glares. I'm very sensitive to things like that. And I'm going to write light so I can erase until I'm ready, and I will pencil it in hard.
I know. I thought paper was a bold move. Like that was a bold move. Yeah, paper. It's like, whoa, right? I could not have committed to paper. Nope.
I know. Oh my gosh. So, do you think part of that is the finality of even writing in pencil? If you erase it, you can still kind of see it there. And then does that feel like a failure? What are your thoughts on that?
Interesting. I wonder if that is a layer, because my thoughts are that I like it to look really pretty. And that is the thing for me with schedules and planners and stuff. So the erasing or the crossing out, that just isn't pretty. And I wonder if there's another layer to that it's like, oh, looks like I didn't do that thing that I said I was going to do. I wonder if there is something deeper there.
It's interesting, right? And so I do some life coaching, and a lot of it is saying what are you going to do and how are you going to make sure you do it? And I'm a big planner person. I have my planner right in front of me, and I really like to loosely plan things. So I will sort of in this top part of the planner, I'll put down okay, I am maybe going to do this next week. And then it's not until the week before where I start putting things in. But I've learned that it's okay to cross things out and draw an arrow and be like tomorrow or Thursday or next week. Like I have become okay with that. But that being said, I was listening to John Acuff's podcast and he was talking about New Year's resolutions and he had a very interesting take on it. And one of the biggest things he said was that you should start now and not wait until New Year's.
On resolutions.
Yeah. And it's almost like, I think resolutions, like, does that mean resolve? Like I resolve to do something? Like I've never even looked that up. Is that even the right word? Like, I don't know. I guess so, right?
I totally looked it up.
Okay, good.
I have looked it up in the past. And then I looked it up and it was just like, yeah, it's almost like fixing something or, resolving to fix this thing or to change this thing. Yeah, fixing almost.
Yeah.
Which is why it doesn't sit well within me.
Yeah. And I think that part of it for me is like, it's like when a lot of people are like, oh, my diet starts next week, or I'm going to quit smoking in the new year. Meanwhile, it's like, I'm doing this thing that I don't like now that maybe is harming me, or I could start doing this thing that will be good for me later. You know, it's like, should we be, why are we waiting? Like, that's sort of his thing. He's like, start now. And I listened to this podcast, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago. So he had put this out at the beginning of December. And I thought, yeah, like, and his thing was when he decided he wanted to drink, or he had said this is a good example of like you're trying things out, because he wanted to drink like a gallon of water a day, which is like 4 liters of water. That's a lot of water. And he said it was a real challenge because, you know, of having to use the bathroom all the time. And he realized that it wasn't the right thing for him to do, or he could tweak it and drink less because he's not as big as like the person who suggested this. So that's one of the great reasons to start now, is so you can just be like, okay, so this doesn't work. I'm going to move on with that, right? And like with people who want to declutter their homes, it's like, if you want to declutter your home and it's bothering you, why wouldn't you start now instead of waiting? Like it's like my husband will sometimes say, mañana, like I'll do it tomorrow, mañana. And I'm like, let's just do a little bit now. So we just have that like little bit of a head start. What do you think about that?
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because once again, just like last time, I feel like, oh, I'm on here so that you can help me. And how dare you call me out about starting decluttering next week? Literally, like, as you say that, well, it's perfect because that's just such a real example that I say all the time. Like, I will tackle, when it comes to decluttering, I will tackle that thing next week. And of course, that doesn't make sense. If I know that it is, you know, maybe not comfortable or something that I really want to do that I think is going to really improve my life, what is the reason that I am delaying the thing? And why? Yeah. And to just start now versus setting like this is it. It's January 1st. I am going to declutter on January 1st. It's almost like this big buildup and then all this pressure versus, oh, I started now and I'm just going to sort of continue that into the new year and how much better that might feel. So yeah, that's interesting.
It's funny too, because the other thing John said was that there's this app, I think it's called Strava, and it's for people who hike or run or bike or whatever. And they have this, I think it's January the 10th, or I know it's the second weekend in January, and they call it Quitter's Day because that is when people quit things. And I remember, oh gosh, like way back when I was in nursing school, I started doing hot yoga, which was so hot. Oh my gosh. And I remember starting it. I think I started it in January too. And I was like, my gosh, is it ever crowded in here? And then I carried on. Yeah. And like so crowded that you couldn't, like, talk about uncomfortable in a room, a very hot room with your mats are touching because it was so cramped in there. But then fast forward close to a year, by the end of the year, by the beginning of December, the middle of December, even November, let's be honest and say November, because December can be a busy month, but November, not nearly as full. Like, say there were like 40 people in January. In November, there would be like 12 or 8 or something crazy like that. And if you look at it, and the reason why I moved it to November is because a lot of people say, well, December is really busy. And it is for a lot of us, but for a lot of us, it isn't. It just feels busy. And for me, like I was going through a lot of stress, like I was chatting about before, like with my YouTube channel and monetization and all of that. And I knew, even though I felt really busy, but I knew I needed to lean into the self-care big time, just so I could like survive that mentally, because I just was so anxious and uncomfortable. And I hate being uncomfortable. And I was like, and part of it was like, I literally recorded the podcast last week or the week before. And I was like cleaning because I was like, I'm so uncomfortable. I need to clean. And it's the same with your New Year's resolution. Like if this is something that's going to make your life better, or it's because like maybe you're removing clutter, or you're quitting smoking, or you've decided I'm going to start doing yoga, what little bit of time you're putting in, number one, if it's doing something for your health, that's giving you time in the long run. If you're decluttering your house, like yes, there is a time investment up front, but in the long run, you're saving so much time because you don't have to deal with that clutter and the problems that come with it.
Can I just say props to you for still being in yoga by November? Out of all that, that's what I took from that. Is like, you were still going in November?
Oh my gosh.
So, number one, props to you. That is amazing. And yeah, all of that, like you can just see. And I think a piece for me too is like so much compassion around this, because I absolutely for years and years and years joined the gym every January and then stopped going by week 2, like 10,000% that was me. And still things show up where I start like, this is not to say I have got this all figured out whatsoever. This is just starting to get really curious about this and what works. And I think this makes so much sense. What we're talking about of like starting it early, like that just feels so much better to my heart to like not have all of that pressure. So to start it early, like that's just what I thought as you were sharing that. And how cool is it that people like January 1st are like, yeah, let's go. Like we are all going to jam into the yoga room, or we're going to drink 4 gallons of water, or declutter our houses, all the things. It's like, yeah, really looking at how to make it actually feel good and be something that you like feel proud of and that you can stick with, because it's not like this all or nothing sort of mindset that I feel like for me at least comes with like that resolution piece.
Yeah. And I think it's like so often people, they're all or nothing. And what I like about starting now, even if you're listening to this or watching this on, December 30th and you want to declutter your house, like you could go in your bathroom and just be like, I'm going to find like 3 things to put in the donation bin or the garbage, because so often things in the bathroom can be like expired and whatever. But then you're just starting that, and your brain is like, oh, are we doing this? Like you're training yourself for that, like sustainability and getting that momentum going.
I love it. Right when you said that, I'm like, yeah, you are literally telling your brain, like, this is what we're doing now. Like, look for things to declutter. Notice when things are there to declutter. You are like, it's that what you focus on, you will find. And if you are training your brain to look for those things versus that, stark contrast of I decluttered nothing, and then January 1st, I'm going to start with 2 hours of decluttering. Which one is more sustainable? And I feel like that speaks to like setting the intention versus a resolution in my, like, in the way that I sort of like conceptualize it. But yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and it's interesting because John, he gives the example, and this is actually something I want to do too, which is to read more, or in my case, read/listen, because I listen to way more audiobooks than I actually sit down and read. And I could say, okay, in January, I'm going to read more. This year, I'm going to, I think I'm still not exactly sure, but just now, like thinking about this, I'm like, okay, so I could listen to 4 books a month, and also like knowing why am I doing this? And I could read, realistically, I could read one book a month. So if I want to do that, am I really going to wait to me? And I'm going to be honest, like that feels like a lofty goal. I'm going to read or listen to 4 and read 1. That feels lofty. So am I going to right out of the gate do that? Like, would you start doing a workout and jump to like the highest level immediately? No, like you would.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do, and that's why I feel so terrible.
Yeah.
I literally jump in and think that I should be where I was when I was working out consistently, and then I bomb. That's like, yes, when you ask that question, absolutely I do.
And then you feel bad about yourself.
100%, and then I don't do it again because I'm like, oh right, I am weak and I cannot do what I could once do, versus like, what if I just went for a walk, or what if I picked up my lightest weights? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect example. And 4 books for you is a lofty goal. I thought you read or listened to at least 25 a month.
No, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Right.
So how can I start the reading of the books now, right? And it's like I need to. I want to start. I've got to figure out when I'm going to do that. And that's, I think, the biggest mistake a lot of people make. Once I realized I need to schedule things, that's how things happen. Today, I wrote down, because it's a busier day, I wrote down when I'm going to work out. Because if I write it down and it's in my schedule, it's going to happen. It's there, 5 o'clock, working out, while dinner cooks. And if I want to read for even just 15 minutes, and I think that is what I'm going to reasonably say for myself, 15 minutes of reading every day. When am I going to do that? So I need to know when. Is it after my lunch, before, after my workout, before bed, in the morning? When am I going to do that? And a lot, and so if we start a little bit now, that's good.
And I like the habit stacking too, like you were talking about, I'm going to work out while I'm having dinner, or where can I put this on top of something that I already do? So the reading could be added on to reading and then bed, or brush my teeth and then pick up a book. Right. You're probably not going to brush your teeth and read your book, but
I might.
I mean, you might.
You never know.
Might be a good fit. It's true.
But it's so interesting though. So a lot of and that being said, I love the new year. Okay, first of all, January and I have a really, really mostly hate, slightly like relationship. I'm not a huge January person, but I feel like January and September for me are both months that feel like a fresh start for a few reasons. Obviously back to school, whether or not you have kids, you definitely were a kid once. Not probably.
Probably.
But you probably went to school. Not everybody listening did, I'm sure. But and so it's that fresh start. So this year I'm actually doing a free challenge where you get to choose a space, and we're going to get that decluttered. And it's from January 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And we're going to look at what is happening to us inside when we are doing that decluttering. What problems are coming up? Where do we feel like stopping? Because so often when we are doing something new, starting a new resolution or a new intention or habit, something is making us say, okay, I'm going to stop now, whether it's resistance, which is like the common thing where our brain is like, okay, we're leaving the comfort zone, so we need to like back that off. And your brain is like, okay, we're going back. So we're going to jump into that. And you can choose a spot, whether it's your junk drawer or like a part of your kitchen. If you want to like go huge, and do an area that's massive, like that's your choice. The plan is that you get all of it decluttered in these 3 days, and then you create a plan for the rest of the year. So join me, totally free, and it starts January 1st. So go to minimalisthome.ca/inside-out to sign up for this challenge. It's going to be super duper fun. There's going to be a Facebook group where we can post our wins. We can share with each other. I am so excited and what you can do leading up to this time, if you're excited about decluttering, just choose a couple things. Like for me, even looking at the Christmas decorations that are up right now, there's a couple where I was like, okay, I'm not going to keep that. And I put that in a box.
Yeah, I love that. I'm totally going to sign up, first of all. And I know you weren't speaking directly to me, but it felt like you were. And I like that because, like January can have like a lot of mixed feelings. Like because it is like that down after Christmas, perhaps. Those feelings down after the holidays and like this fresh new feeling. So I feel like doing the challenge is like just like a lot of good energy and a lot of excitement and something to jump into that doesn't sound super overwhelming. And I love how it's like making a plan, setting intentions for the future, for the whole year. That sounds pretty sweet.
Well, and that's the thing. So like if you're like, okay, I want to like just do a little bit. I can just think in my house, I'm like, where could I find something? And under the sink, there's a couple of things I could grab and get those going. And before you lose steam, like if you did a little bit now and then you jumped into this challenge, then you're gaining more momentum and you're starting to notice areas where you do tend to get stuck. So then you can create a plan. And it's just like when I said in my planner that I am going to do, I'm going to work out today, then if I have a plan, it makes it that much more likely that I'm going to actually like follow through with it, because our subconscious is like, hey, let's not change anything. I know we're alive and I'm happy with that. Right? We have to kind of like slowly do things to kind of trick it into being like, this is okay.
Totally. And subconscious, when you set your intention, and maybe that's why my business is called Loving with Intention, because it's like when you set the intention, you are telling your subconscious that like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is what I want. And your subconscious is like, okay, well, let's make that happen. And then it can start to get on board with the change that you're making. Versus, let's just stay like super comfy, even if it's uncomfy.
Right? Yeah. Like people who are in awful situations, their subconscious still is like, but we're alive. Like, why are we messing with this? And it's like, no, like it's going to be okay. And it's funny because years ago, when our kids were younger, I remember saying, this is the year of empowerment. So instead of like choosing a New Year's resolution, I kind of just chose a word, sort of. Like it wasn't like hardcore, but I was like, this is the year of empowerment. Like I am teaching these kids how to do certain things. One of them, the first, like the one I think of right away, I was like, I'm teaching them how to do the litter box. So I taught my oldest how to do the litter box. And then I was like, teach your brothers. And I didn't wait until January. I was like, we're still like, as soon as I had that idea, I was like, okay, we're going to do this now. Getting them on the board, I'm taking care of you guys. You guys can help take care of the cats. And like, so what other, like, some people they want their word to be like, it even could be
last year,
expansion. That's a great one.
I chose last year. Yeah, I was just like, I want to grow in so many areas and like dig into personal growth and my business and relationship growth and all the things. Like I just want to expand. So that was my word. And so glad we're talking about it now because I forgot. And I set it in motion and it's been happening. So that's a thing.
That is, right? And so say you were like, say your word, because I know a lot of people listening or watching would completely relate to this. And I think this might even be my word, that it's health. And, you know, I was at the physiotherapist recently and I said, like, I work out 90% for health, 10% for vanity. Like, honestly, being, you know, a little bit, but most of it's health. I have not been, I have shared, you know, my grandpa has Alzheimer's. All of his siblings had it, 5 of them. There's a genetic component. That scares me. You and I are both nurses. We've worked with tons of people with Alzheimer's. It is a terrible disease. I don't want that. I also don't want, you know, cancers if I can prevent it, right? So I want to work on my health. Now, I have been working out pretty consistently. It's, you know, there go through times where I don't as much, or, you know, I don't eat as well. There's always room for improvement. And say you were like, well, I don't know what to focus on. Maybe there's something you're already doing that you're like, I could just do that a little bit better, you know?
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like this big brand new thing. It does not have to be this big brand new thing. Yeah, this is super. I swear to you, every podcast that we do, I'm going to be like, thank you so much for your time and helping me see the places where I could grow. Because now I just feel excited to like dig into what is my intention and what is my word of the year going to be, and how can I start that now to like really set myself up for success. Because yeah, I have, bless my heart, all the compassion with myself and anybody else, have just bombed so many times with like the whole resolution idea or the whole rigid goal setting. That just is not, maybe it works for some people, great, and it just doesn't work for me. So I really like that idea of like looking at what am I doing and how can I, my mind is just going a mile a minute right now. I'm like, what is the thing? Or the things, how can I just like amplify those things? That's good.
Well, and you know what? I think the other part is, so I don't think New Year's resolutions work. I think there's been a lot of studies that show they haven't. I haven't actually looked that up, but from my recollection, I hear they don't work. And so say like expansion was your word for last year. You can still be working on that because you're already practicing it, and then choose a new one. Right? Like I could have chosen my brain. Say I chose organize last year, and this year I choose health. I'm not going to be like, well, we're done with organize. Like, no, like the point is like to get better at organizing. I don't want to be perfect. We can't be perfect. Perfectionism is a myth, but I can do I could like be like, I got more organized. I decluttered a lot and I got more organized. And this year I'm also focusing on my health. Because, like, if we're going through life, I like to look at it as a game where I'm, like, getting better at it. Like, say it was like a video game, you know, like kids playing video games. Like, they just are amazing and they get better and better and better. I want that to be life. I want to be making my life better, making my home better, making my health better, making my relationships better, you know? And I think that it's a very exciting time. And the main thing is to, like, keep that momentum going. How do we keep that momentum going? So
yeah, totally. That's such a good example. Like, I've expanded enough.
Yeah.
That is it. I'm done with expanding. That was 1 year and I'm right where I should be.
I'm done.
Like, it's so perfect. Yeah.
And you could be like, my health, it's good. I'm good now. I did all I need to do. I'm going to start smoking again and eating, you know, nothing but fried food. And we're good. Okay, so next year I'm going to work on finances.
Yeah. You just get to keep leveling up. We get to keep leveling up for real.
God.
And I like how I just have to say, like, that just makes me feel better. And I hope that like that just like resonates with people, is that resolutions themselves, there's like research around why they don't work. So it's not like an us problem, you know? It's not that like when I say I have bombed those resolutions, I wasn't set up for success anyways. So I just like heard that piece and I was like, oh yeah, that thing, that's not actually the thing where I, want to be putting my energy anyways. So thanks for that.
Yeah. And I think it's like, so often we're just like, yeah, no, like I am for sure just going to do this thing and it's going to be great. But there's a thing that says like people, their level of happiness is pretty much the same their whole life. Like they just are who they are, no matter what. And I think that comes from, again, it's your subconscious just saying like, nope, this is our baseline. No matter what, we're going to come back to the baseline. And I think that is why New Year's resolutions and changes at all are just so hard, because our brains just want us to survive and they don't understand, like, on the deeper level, your subconscious does not understand that life would be better if you decluttered your home or fixed your relationship. It does not understand. And it's, so that's why I think like baby steps, small little increments are like the best thing you can do.
Yeah. And then you can like increase your baseline.
Exactly.
For the people listening, I'm doing a thing with my fingers.
Yes. She's showing, yep. Well, level up.
I'm gradually increasing my baseline rather than, taking this huge leap up and then just coming back down to what is known. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Because it's not sustainable. Like it's like, well, I think my dad, God love him, the only time he ever worked out, I think once he went to the gym or something. I'm not exactly sure of the story. But he went way too hard and then crashed, of course, like the next day, he was sore for probably like a week and was like, well, I'm not doing that again. Meanwhile, it's like, no, like if you just start things gradually, then it's much more sustainable.
And it was probably on January 1st, too.
It probably was around that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So I really just want to reiterate, the point is that you can start now, start small, and make a plan. And join the Inside Out Challenge. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Lindsay's coming.
It sounds so much fun.
I'm leading it.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at loving.with.intention. And it is super fun. So I would love to have you there.
She's got amazing tips. I love them. And you can find me at minimalisthome.ca or Minimalist Home Please on Instagram. And I hope something great happens for you today. And thank you so much for coming. And we will see you next time. Bye.